Thank you. The second, the last item is homestead exemption. As you well know, property tax has been a real issue, for me over the years. Spent a lot of time researching it and trying to, speak to people throughout Northeast Ohio about property taxes. I did find that Representative Dan Troy has a current piece of legislation. It currently is in the House and Ways Committee that is going to increase the homestead exemption from $25,000 to $31,000 and maybe tied to inflation. Although I certainly appreciate Representative Troy's work in trying to help the seniors, I just don't think it's going to be enough, gentlemen. I really don't. And for 2022, I am going to make that sort of an issue that I am really going to press for all our legislators, and I'm hoping that Commissioner Young and Commissioner Hamerchak, that I could get your support on the, pushing the whole idea of making sure that we're taking care of the seniors in Lake County. I am very concerned that they're going to be priced out of their homes with the ever-increasing property taxes for whatever reason, and the rates of inflation that are going up, the cost of gasoline. These seniors are going to be in trouble. Now, some people say, well, Brian, why don't you just move? This is not about Brian Massey and trying to get lower property taxes. I am trying to give back to the community by saying that we are going to have some difficulties. These seniors are going to start losing their homes, and there's going to be foreclosures. So I ask for your support. I know I won't get it from Commissioner Plechnik, but I'm asking Commissioner Young and Hamerchak. Thank you very much.
Fair enough. Commissioner Plechnik?
Mr. President, that was a very odd comment, but I assume it's because Mr. Massey knows that I want to go far further than what Representative Troy would propose. I've long said that we should have a complete exemption of property taxes for seniors. I think that it's an insult to give a small discount to our senior citizens. Obviously, we should look into some net worth issues. We're not worried about a senior who can afford $1 million or a $500,000 house, but for the average Lake County resident, the average senior citizen on a fixed income, there should be a complete exemption from property taxes. So I know Mr. Massey might not be ready to support something that goes that far, but I think we should have a complete exemption from property taxes for our seniors. And I'd call on Representative Troy and all of our state reps and senators to do more, because it is not enough. That's why we as Lake County worked hard for our senior discount program with utilities, but we're limited in terms of what we can do. We can't change the Ohio Revised Code or eligibility requirements. We can only work with the tools that our state reps and our state senators give us. And I know that we've got some great representatives who are pushing, but I'd always call on them to push harder, because seniors, the average senior citizen should not have to pay property taxes. They've paid their dues, they've paid their taxes, we stand on their shoulders, and I think it's an insult to give them a small discount on property taxes. They should have a complete exemption. And you know what? Ohio would become the retirement capital of the world if we stepped up and got that done. So I want to go far further than what the commentary said today.
Commissioner Hamerchak, if I just add, I say thank you very much, Commissioner Plechnik, for your support of that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Commissioner Young?
Yeah, I just want to say that I really appreciate Mr. Massey's comments this morning. With your background in auditing and your willingness to really apply yourself to do research, unbiased research, looking at the naked facts and the figures, determining motivations, and your obvious position that you developed over the last few years of not being biased. Some people, their only goal is to shoot holes in anything government does, and that can be a fairly target-rich environment. But at the same time, it's not always constructive. But I think that you approach it especially recently, from a positive and constructive perspective. And it is such value to us as commissioners when you come forward armed with information, facts, and figures, and you provide that in an unbiased and fair way, not in an attack mode, but in a way that'll serve the people of Lake County. It's highly appreciated. Thank you.
And continuing on that theme, one of the things that I believe would be a tremendous value to property owners in general would be House Bill 1. Our own Jamie Callender got that across the finish line. It had to do with proper funding for schools, but what stands in the way of implementing it has to do with a gap between where we are now and where we need to be. And I think that would be a good time investment for this board to work with our legislators to get that gap filled so that we can relieve the burden on property tax payers. Because what is it, 3 times I believe the Ohio Supreme Court has determined that the current funding structure is unconstitutional. We have a fully functional mechanism that is ready to be implemented, and we just need to prime the pump, so to speak. So once we get that taken care of, I know there's been some talk that I have had where maybe we might want to encourage the state to use some of the stimulus dollars to bridge that. As a former legislator, Commissioner Young, I'm sure you can appreciate that everything runs on money, and if there's not that influx of cash to get us from where we are to where we need to be, things just tend to languish. But I think we're uniquely positioned in the state of Ohio to actually fix that and remove the burden. And if I can piggyback on Commissioner Plechnik here as far as our homestead and our utilities, one of the things that seems to be a bit of confusion, it took a while to get everybody educated as to exactly how to implement that, but we found that the language that we are compelled to abide by for homestead versus the language for the utilities discounts. If you're a disabled individual, you qualify for homestead, but you would not qualify for the utilities discount. It's purely based on age and income. For the utilities, I think that's another area that we should be working on. We have many veterans, very many good people that are unable to seek gainful employ in a significant way that do qualify for homestead. And this could be a good way to harmonize those 2 statutes. There's no reason why you have statutes that don't work hand in glove with each other. So those are things that we are working on, but I think we need to be a little bit more open about it. One of the things I'm learning is it doesn't matter all the hard work you do. If nobody knows you're doing it, it doesn't count, which is rather maddening, I will confide. But Commissioner Plechnik, Commissioner Young, anything you want to add?
Mr. President, I would just reiterate, a homestead exemption is not sufficient for our senior citizens in Ohio. There should be an exemption, and I recognize that there should be some eligibility requirements, and if you're super wealthy, you don't need an extra break, but very few of us are so blessed. For the vast majority of Lake County seniors, Ohio seniors, there should be a complete property tax exemption, and any state rep or state senator who's willing to listen to me, that's what I'm going to tell them, because there should be a complete exemption from property tax. It is not fair. We are taxing seniors out of their homes, and while we're doing everything we can in Lake County to minimize that tax burden, we only have so much authority. The law is set by Columbus, and we need Columbus to listen. There should be a complete property tax exemption for seniors, and you tell them John Plechnik said so.
Very good. Commissioner Young, anything else, sir?
No, thank you.
Thank you. All right. If there